The Corn School on realagriculture.com is brought to you by BASF and Pride Seeds.
And today we've officially called it Bunny Hug for all our friends in Saskatchewan Day, or Hoodie Day, because it's kind of a chilly fall morning.
Yeah, and so it is. It's very chilly. We're discussing corn though, Dieter. We're talking choosing corn varieties and the importance of on-farm field trials. So why is that important in, let's say, non-traditional corn growing areas or the expanding corn growing areas of the West?
Well, it's very important to try out the new varieties on farm. Many farmers wait at this time of year to get the results from the small plot trials, and sometimes the results of those trials are a little later in coming than what most farmers would like to take advantage of, for example, the early order buying discounts. So what many farmers are doing is they're participating in these head-to-head yield comparisons, these on-farm yield trials, and it gives them an opportunity to try out the new hybrids that are coming on the market next year. It allows them to try them out a year ahead of everybody else on their own farm, in their own conditions, with their own equipment, so they can see if that hybrid will perform on their own farm. So it's very important that we do these on-farm yield trials. It not only allows that particular grower to see how these hybrids perform, but hopefully his neighbors, the community, the dealers, etc. It's important for us to select a good site with the cooperator for these trials. We're standing here at just a beautiful spot close to Winnipeg, right next to a large ag retailer, and as you can hear, alongside a highway, so it gives us great exposure, and it allows us to try many varieties here, and try a lot of our varieties against our competitors' varieties as well.
So now if a farmer wants to get involved or wants to put a head-to-head comparison on his farm, what size of field do you usually recommend?
Well, there's really no minimum size, but ideally we would like to have a field that's a quarter section is ideal, probably no smaller than 20 or 40 acres. That allows us to try a number of different hybrids, ideally in a number of different locations in the field as well. That just gives us a really good look at the hybrid, at how it will compete against the other ones and how it will perform on that farm. The other thing to note is that we're looking for a uniform field, so we try to stay away from hedgerows, areas of the field that we know are going to be significantly different from others, such as lower areas, hillsides, that sort of thing. So a flat, uniform field is ideal, and 40 acres would be perfect.
Now, for farmers who want to do this, do you recommend sort of a minimum amount of varieties to put head-to-head, or if a farmer just wants to look at one versus another, is that okay, or how do you help them set that up?
Certainly one versus another is all right. Having said that, it's always important to have at least one check variety, so whether that is the farmer's favorite hybrid or whether that is the established hybrid in the area, that's important to have that in the trials. But I always recommend having at least 3 or 4 different varieties. And also it's important to match the maturities of the varieties. So we'd always like to have maturity groupings in that trial. But it's also important to try a few different maturities in that trial, and that's why I talked about 3 or 4 different varieties. So we can have 2 varieties of the same maturity grouping, and then another 2 of a slightly earlier or slightly later, depending on where the farmer is leaning towards for the following year. This year, for example, we found that some of the earlier maturing varieties are yielding extremely well just because of the year we had. So it's always important to step out of your comfort zone a little bit and try something new, and these head-to-head trials are an ideal way to try that out. The other thing that's important now that we're getting close to harvest, and hopefully we'll have less snow at harvest, is to ensure that we take it all the way through, is that a cooperator that we partner with sees the trial all the way through. It's very disappointing and disheartening to get to this point and then lose the opportunity to take a trial to yield and lose a lot of the work that has gone into it, including the farmer's effort and the farmer's work. So it's very important to communicate this time of year with all the cooperators to ensure that we get there either with a weight wagon or now that a lot of growers have gone to yield monitors or even weigh cells on their grain carts, we can use that information as well. But it's very important not to use the opportunity to take these trials to yield.
And so now you will work with farmers who are interested in doing this. Like, what sort of the relationships that you have, or where could farmers go for more information of, say, maybe they notice this is going on at a neighbor's or something like that?
Well, they can certainly contact me if they're interested in doing a trial on their own farm. And then throughout the year, we continue to communicate. We often help them with seed selection, and we try to be there at planting time to help them through any issues that may arise there, and to set up the trial, to mark it out, to ensure that we have proper mapping, to ensure that we can find the trial again when it comes time to harvest. And then we continue to look at the field throughout the year. A farmer I spoke to just yesterday said this is really important for him to have it on his own farm so he can see how the hybrids perform, not just at harvest but throughout the year. So they can stop by and have a look at it any time. In terms of neighbors and other people around, we try to have at least one field day at each location to invite neighbors, agronomists, retailers out to tour the site. In terms of inviting the general public to the field, that's up to the farmer as to how comfortable they are having a lot of people through their field.
All right, thanks so much, Dieter.
Thank you very much.